So maybe joining us late via Zoom. It's 4:36. Nice to see everyone. This is going to be a very brief meeting. We have our consent agenda, prior minutes, and there are no policy readings. Any discussion or questions about prior minutes? If not, I'll make a motion to accept. Any discussion about the minutes? All right, so motion to accept. And since we have no one on Zoom, we can just do that by room. Everyone in favor? Great.
It's been a long time since you've been able to
I
do
know, it's
that,
very
right?
rare. And it's funny, I kind of forgot how we did it for a while. I was like, how did we used to do this?
Yeah.
Back in the good old days? No need to reprioritize the meeting, Aylin, we're good?
We're good.
So no visitors, it seems no one in the virtual realm, Courtney?
Not yet.
All right. We have no school spotlight, so Lynn, you're up with your superintendent's report.
Okay. 1 second, I was just getting into my drive. We might break a record tonight for how short this meeting will be. So in my board notes, you have the personnel report. Nothing has changed since I submitted the board report. The only action item that you have under there is Kirsten Alexander's letter of resignation. So it asks the board to move, she's the assistant principal here at Sheldon, move to accept her letter of resignation.
I'll make that motion. And we'll do that by the room. All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Okay, and I will have, we'll need to have a conversation about a hiring process for the Sheldon assistant principal. I actually, we piloted this year trying to find an assistant principal to fill this role, and some of you went through that process last year and looked at the candidate pool. It's tough right now to find qualified people with that administrator endorsement, and I have been thinking about how this position is structured, and I think that we could structure it in such a way that we could shift to a dean of student model that wouldn't require the administrator endorsement, but it would be something we could coach someone up into, like, from a middle level leadership opportunity into an administrator role at some point. So I think my recommendation to the board would be that instead of opening an AP position, that you would open a search for a dean of students. Any discussion, comments, questions?
Would the expectation idea be that once in that role that they would eventually get licensed? Or would it just be this is?
I mean, I don't know, Erin. I think it doesn't require a license for that role. We have 2 high schools, and we have one that's a dean and one that's an assistant principal, and we have found that they can do the majority of the things that a principal can do, except for evaluation and taking the step if somebody requires a suspension in terms of disciplinary action. The principal has to do that piece. But I think with this model, I would like to see what candidate pool we would get with the dean versus an assistant principal, because I do think there are some people that could rise up to that within our community if we had a dean role.
I just wanted to quickly mention that Lisa is on assistant.
I think given the limitations around people with that particular endorsement that allows them to, as the assistant principal, I think that makes a lot of sense. A dean of students, it seems to it broadens our applicant pool significantly.
And I think the work is really, that's what we need. It's really not an assistant principal. It's really focused on the kids and supporting the kids and what they need. If that changes, then we'll reevaluate, but I think it makes great sense.
Will you tweak the job description?
Yes.
Some? Okay.
Yes. We have a model that we can
Yeah.
start from.
Great. Do you need approval from the whole
I
board?
think just
or?
give me guidance and direct
Yeah.
me to advertise that way.
Yes.
Okay, and my intention would be to, not to have a full process the way we have had for principal candidates, but do something similar to what we did last year. So we would work through a screening committee, and then ultimately at the end, I would look at the committee's recommendation, and then I'd make the final decision on who the hire would be. Does that make sense to all of you?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, I have nothing under student at this month. I do have, there's an Efficiency Vermont grant. It's an indoor air quality grant at Montgomery Elementary School, and we've been awarded that grant. I just need a motion from the board to accept the Efficiency Vermont indoor air quality grant for Montgomery Elementary School.
I'll make that motion. That's great. Nice to hear that. We'll do that by roll. Lisa?
Aye.
Kat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
Erin?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
And Mary is an aye.
And then I do have one thing I will want the board to go into executive for, so I don't know if you want to do that now or at the end. It's under recruitment and retention
Let's do it
strategy.
now. We have a pretty
Okay.
heavy lift, I think, after the meeting ends, so
Okay.
because we have very little board
Yeah.
business.
Okay.
So we'll do that now. I'll make the motion to enter executive. We'll do by roll. Lisa?
Aye.
Kat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
Erin?
Aye.
Miranda? And Mary is an aye. All right. So we're out of executive session with no action needed. Onto board business. Any future agenda items? Lynn, I was wondering if maybe we want to review anything around the annual meeting?
Okay.
Just as far as the details, so, I mean, well, we're still a ways
Yeah.
from it, but it's gonna be here before we know it.
So did not prepare for sharing details, so I'm not sure I have it right, but I think Courtney has the flyer and can fill in where I can't. Your annual meeting is on February 22nd at 7 p.m. here. So I believe that will be in the gym.
Yes, that's the biggest space.
Okay. So we still planning on doing a live stream? Are we unclear about that?
We're either going to do live stream or see if our West Access can record and then just put it on their YouTube. They usually do.
Yeah.
But it will be available.
Okay.
One way.
Okay, and so, we have flyers that are going out. We've done the mass mailing. I don't know if they have been mailed yet, or so I'll be honest, that isn't a piece that I lift on. Courtney's worked with Morgan on that part. So do you know when that's going out?
No.
The mass mailing?
The only thing I did was proofread it.
Okay, so there's a plan. That'll go out in time to remind people of that annual meeting, and we'll make sure that people have the login if there's a live version for that meeting. In terms of board meeting prep, Morgan is away. He and I did talk, Mary, about making sure that you were prepped in terms of taking
Yeah.
the questions, the detail-specific questions, and he's gonna reach out to you about scheduling that prep.
Okay,
With
is
you
he gonna be
individually.
here, back?
He will be back.
In time, okay.
Yes.
All right.
2021. We're
Okay.
hoping it'll be one of those two
All right,
days.
but he and I will find a time to Zoom and go over details in advance. Okay, perfect.
So I think all of you, what we typically do is set the table up so that you're all sitting together. Mary generally takes the crux of the questions. There may be some that land on others of you. If you have something you want to jump in and add on to, feel free to do that part. It's always stressful, and this has been really a strange time because we've had in-person meetings, we've had virtual meetings, we've had hybrid meetings, it's just been a variety. So this feels like the first time we're gonna have a more normal-ish annual meeting for our communities. So anything else that you wanted as a team to prep for?
think so. I mean, once we see the flyer and understand the information that we might be asked about, that would be
Yeah.
helpful, but we have time to do that, so.
So the, I should say this part, the annual reports are, Courtney's done a fabulous job with those. That's a tremendous lift for her to get that done for all 4 communities. And I certainly didn't understand until I was in this role how much work that is to do. And each community has their own size of page, margins, they're all completely different. So it's a lot to prepare that. We have been contracting with a graphic designer, so we're also producing a virtual book, and we'll have some printed color copies of that. That will be inclusive of both districts, so it'll be the whole SU, both districts, annual reports, much more, more infographics, more photos. So I think that hopefully that will be helpful. People will like that format too. We'll be able to share that format online. We'll post that to our social media pages, so please feel free to share that and encourage people to come to the annual meeting and come out and vote.
I have a question about the annual meeting. Maybe Courtney knows the answer to this. If I'm available, am I able to just zoom in to it?
I think either we're going to live stream it or Zoom might be the best option and just have it on the screen so people can Zoom. So yes, I'm going to say yes. You can. I'll make sure that there's a Zoom option for
It
you.
might be webinar format though,
Right.
right? Instead of
It might be what?
It might be webinar format where the participants can't chat. They can't really talk. It's just
but they could post questions.
they can post questions. Yes.
Right.
Okay, so I would be obviously the same format, so I won't be able to.
I would make you, when you have a webinar format, you can have participants and
Okay.
you would get your own special link for the webinar and then you
Okay.
would be able to talk as much as you, they would be able to see you and you'd be able to talk.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, great, thanks, Lynn. So our next meeting, March 1st, SU board report. Well, our last SU board meeting was 58 minutes, it was a record. So I think, in having done most of the big budget stuff, it was a pretty quick meeting. The highlights of that meeting would be, Robin did a really thorough presentation on our school safety. That was the spotlight of the month. Talked a lot about the ALICE training and the ways in which those are kind of developmentally differentiated for the age groups. We decided that we're going to actually have a February meeting because the RFPs for the alternative program space will be due by the 13th of February. So we're waiting to see how many RFPs we get, and we'll have that discussion in February around the alternative program space. Those were really the big highlights from the SU meeting. Anything, Erin, that you want to add, or Kat? All right. So I think, any more discussion on anything? Otherwise, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I think you'll just pause, Mary, and shift into your board interviews, your board interview prep and process.
Right, but I figured we need to adjourn and end the meeting, because are we recording?
You're not recording, but that'll all be done in executive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you want us to enter executive again? Okay, so I'll make not a motion to adjourn, but a motion to enter executive to start our principal interview prep. By roll, Lisa,
Aye.
Kat,
Aye.
John, Emily,
Aye.
Erin, Miranda, and Mary is an aye.